Ohio State's been really, really good. The defending national champs. The last 10 years, 115 wins, 16 losses. Under Ryan Day, 75 wins, 10 losses. An absolute juggernaut. But they go to Champaign this weekend to take on a pretty good Illinois team. Is a visit to Champaign a trap for the Buckeyes or another chance for them to be dominant? Let's break it down. Teddy covers WagerTalk.com with a big game breakdown for Saturday. Early start action in college football, noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. here on the left coast. We've got the Buckeyes. Looking at my Odds Logic live odds screen. Minus 14 on the road, total sitting in the 49 range. Our 49 and a half and 49 and 48 and a half out there right now. So there is some variance on the total. But the side pretty much painted minus 14. There are a couple 14 and a halves out there. But, you know, Ohio State has quietly been destroying everybody. All right. They had the marquee win over Texas in week 1. That's somewhat devalued now. Obviously, Arch Manning hasn't lived up to expectations, shall we say, and the Longhorns off a bad loss last week. So that win's been a little bit devalued for the Buckeyes. Doesn't mean it wasn't good at the time. 5-0 straight up, 4-0-1 against the spread, depending on how you grade that 28-point win over Ohio U. Opponents against Ohio State this year, against that defense, they have not reached 10 points in any game. They've allowed 7, 0, 9, 6, and 3 points. And they've beaten some decent teams in the mix. Obviously, maybe Texas isn't as good as we thought they were, but they're certainly decent. You know, they're a pretty good team. Minnesota, Washington. Again, we're not talking about juggernauts, the last two, but they haven't just been beating up on patsies, is what I'm saying. Now, Illinois hasn't had a bye week yet, and in my mind, that's meaningful at this stage of the campaign. They'll be playing their 7th game in a row without a break. They're 5-1 straight up, 5-1 against the spread, and they've been making money for their backers too. A decent betting bandwagon for the Illini, and yet they're still 14-point home dogs to Ohio State, which tells us how good this Buckeyes team is and how much the betting market respects Ohio State. Deservedly so. So 5-1 straight up, 5-1 ATS for Illinois, but the one loss came against Indiana. And he talked about it after the game. Brett Bielema talked about it after the game, saying, yeah, they're kind of like Ohio State in terms of their skill position talent, for what it's worth. But they responded the right way off that Indiana loss. The outright upset against USC the following week, and then the blowout over Purdue last week. And when we talk about recent series history, I'm not worried about the recent series history in this series at all. Why? Because there is none. The last 3 meetings, yes, 52-14 Ohio State, 28-3 Ohio State, 55-14 Ohio State. But the most recent of those came in 2017. That was an Urban Meyer versus Lovie Smith coaching matchup. It's been a while since these two teams have faced each other. The Illini last home win against Ohio State came in 1991. Been a while for that too. Last win in the series came in 2007. Ohio State 9-0 straight up, 6-3 against the spread since. So Illinois, you know, we talk about Ohio State's defense. They haven't given up 10 in every game yet. Illinois' defense has been pretty good too. That said, it's a lot about takeaways. They've created 10 takeaways this season. Only 2 interceptions, 8 fumble recoveries. The fumble luck has been there for the Illini. If they get the fumble luck here, they'll be live to win this game as well. That said, 5 of the 10 takeaways came in one game at Duke. And when we talk about takeaways and turnovers, that's probably the only way Illinois can win this ball game. I want to talk about these 2 quarterbacks, but first, I want to ask you guys a simple favor. If you like this type of analysis, hit that like button. Done. Thank you. Comment below. Tell us what you think about Ohio State, Illinois, or any of the other games in college football this weekend. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. More than 222,000 of you have already subscribed to this channel. Lots of free info every day. You'll get instant alerts when these videos go live. So like, comment, subscribe. I'm running pretty good of late. I really have 10-3 college football run that dates back to September, 77%. 15-5 MLB playoff heater, 75%. 64% all sports run over the last 2.5 plus weeks. So we're making money for the clients right now. Check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. We've got a weekend warrior package for $49. We've got a weekly package. Great deal on a 3-month pass right now. Well, you get an extra month absolutely free. Whatever type of package you're looking for, you can find it. WT.buzz/TC, or just visit WagerTalk.com and get on board for a pretty good run. What's been a pretty good run. I expect it to continue this coming weekend. So let's talk about these two quarterbacks right now. All right, Luke Altmaier for Illinois. 12 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions so far this season. Last 2 games, he's gone 39 of 48, 81% completions, 718 yards, 300 plus in both games, 3 touchdowns. That being said, you cannot compare USC's defense to Ohio State, and you certainly cannot compare Purdue's defense to Ohio State. So a big step up in class for Altmaier in this game. Now, Julian Sayin, so far this season, has thrown a combined total of 25 incomplete passes. All right. I mean, number 1 in the country, 80% completions, full season numbers. He's got Jeremiah Smith and Cornell Tate, who have combined for 900 receiving yards through 5 games, 59 receptions, 10 touchdowns between them. That's exactly what Illinois couldn't handle when they faced Indiana, with the elite receivers and the big play passing game. Buckeyes, number 1 in the country in yards per play margin, plus 3.6 yards per play so far this season. That's insane. Obviously, it's not going to last full season like that, but it tells how well the Buckeyes and how much they've been dominating. Again, when you're outgaining your opponents by 3.6 yards per play, you're doing something right. Defense, number 1 in the country, giving up just 5 points a game. The QB is saying number 1 in the country, 80% completions. I ain't stepping in front of the Buckeyes. All right, Ohio State or pass for this better in early start action on Saturday. Appreciate those likes, appreciate the follows, appreciate the comments. Check out my page, WT.buzz/TC. 77% college football run coming into the weekend. See if we can keep it going. Thanks for watching. Best of luck with all your bets. And be sure to stay tuned right here on WagerTalk TV for more quality video content. Cheers.
We don't have to wait long for 2 of the best college football games this week. A pair of top 20 matchups, both early at noon Eastern this Saturday on national TV. I've got free plays and analysis in both games for you. Alabama, Missouri, Ohio State, Illinois coming up right here, right now. Hi, this is Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV. And we'll go down in rotation order. First game on the rotation at 12 noon Eastern on ABC National TV. Number 8, Alabama at number 14, Missouri. Missouri quietly having a really nice season. Good on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. Outscoring their opponents 45-14 on average this season. But, of course, Alabama's been pretty strong as well, 36-16. And the difference is that Bama has played a much tougher schedule. In fact, my 10,000 game simulation has Alabama winning this game by 5 points on average, and currently the line is only 3. It opened 4.5. It's been bet down. Some early sharp money came in on Missouri. It's now down to -3, minus $1.15, flat in other spots. While there's a little bit of line value based on my simulation favoring Alabama, I think the total might be the better play in this game. Open 53. Sharp money's bet it down to 51.5, 52. And a key number is 51. I talk a lot about this. About a 3% chance this game lands exactly on 51. 27-24 is the most likely outcome here, with Bama as a 3-point favorite. But 41-10, 31-20. Lots of margins land on 51. So at 51.5, 52, which is the current number, I do lean under in this game with 2 of the best defensive teams in the country. Now, yes, these are both explosive offensive teams, and both teams throw the ball well, but both defenses have been pretty strong also. Alabama giving up just 6.2 yards per pass against teams that average 8.0. Missouri's averaging 8.4. So Bama's seen this type of attack before. And Missouri also really strong against the pass. 5.3 yards per pass allowed against teams that average 7.2. Their run defense has been spot on as well, but Alabama's really a pass offense now. They're getting about 70-75% of their total yardage through the air. So Missouri, a good balanced defensive attack. Yes, they haven't played a strong schedule yet, but they've done what they've had to with that schedule. And they've held every team but 1 to 20 or less. And that 31-point game in Week 2 against Kansas, a little misleading, as they held Kansas to just 3 rushing yards and only 226 total yards of offense. This has been a really good Missouri defense this year. Bama looks strong defensively once again. They've held every opponent to 21 or less since that Florida State game in the opener. Florida State obviously has turned out to be a pretty good offensive team. And they also held Georgia intact. They did give up some rushing yards to Georgia and Florida State. That's the concern here. And another reason, although my ratings favor Alabama by 5, I'm a little lukewarm there because going on the road and having struggled defensively against the run against both Florida State and Georgia, a little bit of a concern here against a Missouri squad that can really run the ball. They've had at least 250 rushing yards or more in each of their past 4 games. But once again, running the ball keeps the clock moving, shortens the game, prevents as many big plays. I think the under is still going to work here. 2 good defensive teams will take under 51.5 here. I think these numbers are pretty spot on, but the under would be the way to play it at 51.5 or more. That's at noon Eastern once again on ABC. Also at 12 noon Eastern on Fox National TV, number 1 ranked Ohio State, the Buckeyes, against number 17 Illinois. Just the second road trip of the season for Ohio State and their young quarterback, but they looked pretty good in the first road trip 2 weeks ago at Washington, easily winning 24-6 as an 8.5, 9-point favorite in that game. And this has just been a dominant Ohio State team. Right now, I rate them about 40 points above average. That's how good they are. They also have my number 1 ranked defense in my power ratings over 136 FBS teams. I rank them as the strongest defensive squad in the nation. They get up just 5 points a game and just 3.8 yards per play against teams that average 6 yards per play. Illinois, a good offense, averaging 6.6, but they face teams that allow 5.7, and I can't help but overlook that Indiana blowout loss. When they stepped up in class 3 weeks ago as a touchdown road dog, they lost 63-10, and there was nothing misleading about it. They gave up over 300 rushing yards and ran for only 2 yards. They got outrushed 312-2 in that Indiana loss. Yes, they bounced back with an impressive home dog win against USC, and then they beat Purdue last week. And although this is a big spotlight home game, could be a little bit of a flat spot after the back-to-back high-scoring wins against USC and Purdue. This is a giant step up in class. Ohio State has routed everybody since that Texas win. The last 4 weeks have been rout wins. And while maybe on the surface it's a tough spot being just their second road game, I just think they're much a better team overall. Both good offenses, but Ohio State holds a substantial defensive edge in this game, as I do not even rank Illinois in the top 50 right now in my defensive ratings. As I mentioned earlier, Indiana really exploited them a few weeks ago. Let's look at my simulation. On average, I've got Ohio State winning this game by 14 points, and lo and behold, the line is exactly 14. So there's not a lot of value here, but if you're going to play it, as long as it stays 14 or less, very key number, I would lay it. Ohio State would be my preferred side here at 12 noon Eastern on ESPN. Or Fox, Fox National TV. ESPN's got the Pittsburgh-Florida State game. Florida State 25th, barely hanging on to that top 25 ranking. Don't forget, I do free play videos for tons of these solo games, also the top 25 games, also NFL games as well. Click the bell when you subscribe here to WagerTalk TV so you never miss out, and you will know instantly when a free play video is posted each and every day here on the channel. Also have the Thursday night games, Sunday and Monday night NFL games. Always try to give you the prime time games here for free on the channel. If you're liking these videos, all I ask is a thumbs up like and a positive comment below. Hey, it takes 2 seconds. Click the thumbs up like. It really does go a long way to keeping these videos free and plentiful here on WagerTalk TV. And once again, if you have a couple extra seconds, comment below. And if you have a minute, maybe drop your favorite best bets for this Saturday college football. Hey, include some analysis as well. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. If you want my personal best bets, it's quite simple. Go to my page, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. You will see my personal best bets posted each and every day for my clients. And if I'm using a game, my clients get it. It's been that way for over 29 years since I started in August of 1996. And that last cut from my best bet client card goes up free for everybody on my page with detailed analysis. I've even got an advanced NFL play for this Sunday up right now with analysis on my page. So check out the bonus free play, check out the best bets, and also check out the special offers this week. We have a 1-week special for just $77, a 1-week sampler for $77. That works out to $11 a day. Gets college and pro football and Major League Baseball playoffs each and every day for just $11 a day. Or if you want a little bit of a longer term package to get some of the basketball season that's just a couple weeks away, how about a buy 3 months, get the 4th month for free, all sports, all access? That gets you into next year. Or how about getting into next year and getting the rest of this year for free? Buy 2026 all sports and get the rest of this year, the next 2.5 plus months of 2025 for free. That's going to get you every college and pro football, basketball, and baseball best bet I release for the next 14 and a half months. No promo codes needed, whether you do the 1 week, the buy 3 months, get the fourth free, or the 1 year, get the rest of this year free. Every client gets the same best bets I'm personally using each day. Same games I've won consistently with for over 29 years as a full-time professional capper. By the way, if you want a football package only, I also have a bonus promo code this week, FB30. Gets you 30 days of college and pro football combined for just $179. Normally each is $179. You get them both, buy one, get one free with promo code FB30. Full details on my page, including all those special offers, best bets, and most importantly, that daily free play with analysis. Go get it right now. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. On the way out, don't forget to follow me on social media at Steve Merrill, 2 R's, 1 L, MERRIL, at Steve Merrill on X and Instagram. And stay tuned here to Wager Talk TV because you know there's more free play videos coming up next.
I saw it written this week, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. Dave Doeren, NC State head coach, is kind of the moral equivalent, the ACC's version of Kirk Ferentz. All right? A coach who gets his team to overachieve, whose team's always good, but they're never great. They're never able to beat the elite teams. They don't win a whole lot of conference titles. But you stick around, Doran's now, in his 13th season on the job with the Wolfpack. And this week, they're taking on a pretty tough test. Traveling to South Bend to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Let's break it down. Teddy covers, WagerTalk.com, with a big game breakdown. NC State at Notre Dame. Looking at the Odds Logic live odds screen. And by the way, guys, if you haven't tried it, check out the Odds Logic live odds screen. Free 7-day trial. Go to oddslogic.com/Teddy. Check it out. If you've never used a live odds service, it's cool. And it'll really help you in terms of when and where to bet, which is a key factor, 2 key factors when it comes to winning in college football. But looking at the Odds Logic live odds screen, again, oddslogic.com/Teddy for that free 7-day trial. I'm seeing right now Notre Dame pretty much 23.5-point favorites across the board. Total sitting in the 59/59.5 range. This game, 3:30 Eastern time, 12:30 Pacific on Saturday. So we talked about Doeren now, 91-67 with NC State. He's 10-9 since the start of 2024. And you have to wonder, when the results are good but not great, we'll call them mediocre of late, if there's still love for Doeren for NC State. And, we know that there's a big gap, certainly in terms of the money. The NIL money that NC State has versus compared to, Notre Dame, for example. We've seen Doeren beat North Carolina repeatedly, so that's certainly a good thing for his job security. And when we talk about this year's NC State squad, they're pretty good. They're not great. It's very typical of what Doeren has done here. They started 3-0, including a win over Virginia that looks even better now. They had a double-digit lead against Duke, but really fell apart in that ballgame, outscored 38-13 down the stretch. And they lost to Virginia Tech after the Hokies just fired Brent Pry. They did beat up on FCS Campbell last week. They covered minus 42.5. That's not real competition, but relatively fresh because of that. The bye is on deck. This is the 7th straight week that they've played, and I do worry about teams that haven't had a bye yet this season, especially when you're stepping up in class, especially when you're going on the road, and especially when you're facing an elite team like Notre Dame. And guess what? On deck for NC State, they got 4 ranked opponents their next 5 games. It's going to be tough for them to maintain that early season success, and they haven't maintained it after a 3-0 start. They've lost their last 2, or 2 of their last 3, the one against FCS competition. Now, they do have a decent quarterback, a good quarterback, C.J. Bailey. 75% completion so far this season, 1,600 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, only 4 INTs. The offensive line protecting him has been excellent in pass protection. That being said, we're talking about a true sophomore QB. He's struggled at times identifying disguise coverages, and that could be a problem against a pretty darn good Notre Dame defense. Of course, they do have a running game. I mean, NC State is a team that is balanced offensively. Hollywood Smothers, great name. He's on pace for more than 1,400 rushing yards And if they can run the football, they can hang around in this ball game. But that being said, the NC State defense has been problematic. They've been giving up explosive plays in bunches, especially in the run game. They're currently ranked 114th in the nation in the number of allowed 30-plus yard plays from scrimmage. They're 122nd in 50-plus yard plays allowed, and they're dead last in 70-plus yard plays allowed. So the big play has been a problem for this Wolfpack defense pretty much all season long, and that could very well be a problem against the Fighting Irish, who have certainly plenty of big play capability in their offensive repertoire. Before I talk about NC State, before I talk about Notre Dame, I want to ask you guys a simple favor. If you like this type of breakdown, hit that like button. Thank you. Comment below. Tell us what you think about this matchup or any of the matchups this weekend in football action. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to WagerTalk TV on YouTube. More than 222,000 of you have already subscribed to this channel. You get instant alerts every time these videos go live. It's all free. There's no paid content here on this channel. And I'm telling you, we break down pretty much all the big games across sports every single day. So like, follow, subscribe. I'm running pretty good, guys. 10-3, 77% college football run, dates back to September. 15-5, 75% MLB playoff heater. 64% across all sports, counting every play every day over the last 2.5 weeks. Check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC, or just visit WagerTalk.com to get on board. We got Weekend Warrior package, get you every football play, including Monday night, just $49, and other great deals available if you want a longer term package right now. Again, wt.buzz/TC. So the Irish started 0-2. They lost to Miami and they lost to A&M. By the way, those losses by a combined 4 points. They were in both games, had a chance to win them, came up a little bit short. And both those losses have aged well. We talk about losses that aged well. Well, let's see. Miami hasn't lost a game yet. A&M hasn't lost a game yet. They're both ranked in the top 5. And we look at both their toughest tests this year. Say both of them came against Notre Dame. So when you lose 2 games against top 5 teams by a combined margin of undefeated top 5 teams by a combined margin of 4 points. Again, it's not perfection, but you're still doing something right. And we've seen this, unlike the NC State defense, we've seen this Notre Dame defense get better. All right. The first few weeks, that defense was much maligned and they got lit up by everyone. The last 2 games, they shut out Arkansas and got the coach fired. And then they shut down Boise. They held those 2 teams to a combined 20 points. 2-0 straight up, 2-0 against the spread. You got C.J. Carr as a Heisman contender. The offense has scored 40, 56, 56, and 28 over the last 4 weeks. These 2 teams played in 2023. That was the most recent meeting. Notre Dame won 45-24 in Raleigh by 3 touchdowns at -7. They win by 3 touchdowns here. They're not going to cover the number. That being said, I think Notre Dame's a good notch or 2 better than NC State. And if I'm playing, I'm laying. I don't trust this dog to hang. And I worry that if they fall behind, the fact they played 7 straight weeks, the fatigue may come into play. Notre Dame are passed for this better in afternoon action on Saturday. Thanks for watching. Best of luck with all your bets. We appreciate the likes, comments, and follows very, very much. And stay tuned right here on WagerTalk TV for more free play video content. Cheers.
From week to week, I will bet against Colorado or I will bet on Colorado. But I got to say, this line opened at 4.5. It's been bet down to mostly 3s across the board now. I do still see some 3.5s. And I do like Colorado in this spot, Andy, because if you watched Iowa State play at Cincinnati last week, there's no way you could be laying money with Iowa State as a road favorite. Now, they lost 38-30, and you might think, well, that's not that bad. But they trailed 31-7 with a minute to go in the second quarter, and they stormed all the way back. Admirable performance from Rocco Becht. He threw for 314 yards and a pair of touchdowns on 30 of 48 passing. He also ran the ball in for 2 more touchdowns. And there was this narrative heading into this game that Iowa State lost both its starting corners for the season, and they were going to be really vulnerable to the pass. However, Brendan Sorsby threw for just 214 yards and 2 tutties. He did score 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And it wasn't the passing game that did them in. It was the running game. Cincinnati ran the ball for 264 yards or 260 yards on 34 carries, averaging 7.6 yards per carry. The game was not as close as it appeared to be at the end. The reason why Iowa State was able to claw their way back into that game is 128 penalty yards for the Bearcats, and that included a couple touchdowns getting taken off the board. Cincinnati was really dominant in that game, and I worry about Iowa State. I think they're just a little bit too banged up. Colorado has a lot of fight in them, and the health concerns for Dion. He's a man of faith, and I believe that his players are probably thinking along those lines. And I think in tough times with his health, the team's going to rally around him. I do like Colorado getting the points here. I also like the over. I think we can see Colorado score some points on this defense. Like I say, they just got absolutely gashed on the ground by Cincy last week. Colorado with their dual threat quarterback, I think they can put some points on the board here. I wouldn't be surprised to see both teams score in the 30s again here in this game. As far as what I got going on right now, we got the NHL opening night. My $5 Tuesday play is a player prop in the game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers. A big rivalry game, probably an entertaining game to watch. So yeah, you can pick that up for $5.
Now let's talk about power numbers. And power numbers still have Texas ranked really high, ranked higher than Oklahoma. That's why they're the favorites at the get-go from the opener this week. We talk about power ratings as an assessment of how good a team is talent-wise. It also gives us an assessment of how well a team is playing. And the only thing Texas has done this season, you look at preseason expectations, they're supposed to be good. They were, going into Ohio State as a team that you're supposed to win in Columbus. And obviously they didn't do that. Last week at Florida, they didn't do that either. In between, not a lot to be excited about. But from a strength of schedule standpoint, both these teams have had 2 step-up games. Oklahoma's beat Michigan and they beat Auburn. Texas lost to Ohio State and Florida. Maybe Ohio State and Florida are better than Michigan and Auburn. But those 2 teams have had 2 step-up games, and Oklahoma succeeded both times. Texas failed both times. Oklahoma had them both at home. Texas had them both away from home. So maybe you say there's nothing in that. I think there is something there. And certainly when it comes to a confidence level, there's something to be said for what the Sooners have been doing. We talk about a rivalry game. Oklahoma's not going to leave anything on the table here. They're not going to hold anything back against Texas and vice versa. But here we are in October. I don't want to hear what any team's preseason power rating was. I don't care what their preseason power rating was. I don't care how much talent they have on the roster. It has to how good they're playing, how much they've been able to execute their game plan. Texas could have all the talent in the world, but as a football team, they're not the better of these 2 teams right now. And this point spread's telling us that. And obviously, Mateer back. He's been upgraded to probable for the Oklahoma Sooners. And Mateer matters. There are times I want to play contrarian and take a team like Texas. I get it. No, not this one. And again, last year, Texas was minus 17. They won 34-3. Markets are saying these teams are 3 touchdowns different than a year ago. Texas was minus 9 in 2022 and won 49-0. In between, Oklahoma, the game-winning touchdown with 15 seconds left in the fourth quarter, 34-30 in 2023. Texas was minus 4 in that ball game. This is the best Sooners team of the last 5 years. This is not the best Texas team of the last 5 years. I think Oklahoma gets a revenge. And if I'm playing, it's Oklahoma, not Texas. I understand why Texas is power rated where they are. I just don't think, in a big game, I don't want my money on Arch Manning, plain and simple.
But tell everyone what you have up. We got Weekend Warrior. It's a big weekend of football. I know you've been running pretty good in football, so tell us about that.
Yeah, the college football has been outstanding, 10-3 over the last 2.5 weeks. Or actually, I think it's 3 weeks now. I got to update that. But college football is on a 77% run. All football is on a 65% run. All sports on a 64% run. The baseball has been pretty darn good as well. Right now, we just have a single play up for Friday night. It's been a hectic morning. We'll have a big card posted as the day progresses today on Friday. But you talk about that Weekend Warrior package, $49. It's a deal. It doesn't get you tonight's play, but it'll get you Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Every play and every sport. Again, WT.buzz/TC to get on board.
All right, let's move to my team, Indiana Hoosiers, going on the road against Oregon. It's a huge game, obviously, for both teams. Oregon gets their big win on the road out of their way against Penn State. Margo, they get by Indiana. It is smooth sailing. They do not have a whole lot of trip-up games unless they really blow one if they get past this Hoosiers team. I love the Hoosiers team. They're fun, but listen, I have to be realistic here. At home against Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State, and Illinois, 53 points per game. On the road against Iowa, 20. Yeah, little cause for concern, but I wonder if they didn't run their best offense because they knew this was coming. We got Oregon -7, 7.5s are out there. Over under sitting at 53.5. What do you like in this game?
Well, Andy, let's start. Both teams are 5-0, and you alluded to the fact that Oregon went on the road, got that big signature win at Penn State, and there's no question about it. And I drank the Kool-Aid. I was on Penn State in that game. But now, after what we saw happen last week to Penn State, did that win lose a little bit of its luster now that Penn State went on the road and lost as a 24.5-point favorite to UCLA, who couldn't get out of their own way, fired the coach after 3 games? So I am not as sold on Oregon as the public might be. And if you've watched the line movement on this game throughout the week, the money's only coming one way. And when you're betting early in the week and you keep seeing a dog drop, I really keep looking at that. When everything says Oregon, for all the obvious reasons that you stated, and they struggled in that one key road game they had. But let's not forget, the one thing that when Iowa plays a football game that you can count on is the defense is always going to show up for Iowa. The offense can be missing in action too often for the Iowa Hawkeyes, but the defense is always there. And as you said, they might not have ran the best plays out of that playbook with this game on the horizon. Both teams has 2 weeks to prepare for it. This line, I'm seeing 7s popping up now. It was 7.5. The opener I think was 9 or 9.5. The public doesn't bet dogs, especially early in the week. That's sharp money, and I agree with it. I'm going to go with Indiana in this one. The calling card for Indiana has always been with Cignetti's teams is they've got that fantastic offense. But if you look at the numbers, their defense is playing just as well. Now, granted, they haven't played a tough schedule, but the defense has lived up to the task so far. I think this is going to be their statement game. I'm taking Indiana plus the points. I think this one's going to go right down to the final possession. And let's go ahead and take that touchdown with Indiana. And I'm going to call it 30-28. Late field goal by Indiana just sends chaos into the college football world.
Tell her what you have up for clients and everyone at WagerTalk.
Well, this is one of those weekends. I've got several plays I like a lot, and we're putting the card together. Will we have a 5%? Probably. Definitely have a couple 4% to go with that. Both Saturday and Sunday strong cards. I have an NFL play I like a ton on Sunday. So best way to go if you just want the weekend of football, go with the Weekend Warrior. You'll get Saturday and Sunday. You'll get everything we have in football. If I have a Monday night play, and there's 2 games this week, so very good possibility of that. We did have a Monday night play last week. We were on Jacksonville, and I loved that ending. You'll get that play free. But if you want everything, we've got the 7-day package going. You can pick up 7 days for $77. And this is the best time to be on an all access. Every sport is running right now but one. And come Tuesday, the one that's not running, I think Tuesday they start, the NBA gets started next week as well. So if you want all the sports, all the plays, you don't want to miss any of the action, grab a 7-day all access for just $77.
It's week 7 and college football game day will be in Eugene. The Ducks are hosting the Indiana Hoosiers. Oregon will be a 7.5-point favorite. The total sits at 55.5. The Ducks come in with a 5-0 record. They're 3-1-1 against the spread, and they're coming off that big win on the road at Penn State by a score of 30-24. And since then, Penn State has been exposed as potentially a non-playoff team. They lost on the road at UCLA last week. And does that tarnish the record of the Oregon Ducks? I don't think so. I still believe that going on the road and winning at Penn State in a whiteout is quite the accomplishment. The Ducks, they average 46.6 points per game on offense. That's third in the Big Ten. Their quarterback, Dante Moore, expected to be potentially a number one overall pick in the NFL draft. Definitely one of the top quarterback prospects in the country. He's thrown for 1,210 yards, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception on 74.6% passing. The Ducks' revamped offensive line is big and nasty, and they're getting it done. They've got skill players on both sides of the ball, future NFL players. This Oregon team is completely stacked. Dan Lanning, after the Penn State game, in the interview, he looked pretty crazy. In fact, the hashtag on social media was, if a college football coach was cocaine. If you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. It's on YouTube. It's on Twitter. Dan Lanning, you got to like Dan Lanning. He's 11-6 in his career against top 25 teams. That said, we did see last season, Boise State came to Eugene and pushed the Ducks to the brink, losing by just 3 points. And then Ohio State also came to Eugene, lost by 1 point. I will say that Ohio State has dudes on the line of scrimmage that Indiana probably doesn't have. But before we talk about the Indiana Hoosiers, let me tell you about a promotion we have available right now at WagerTalk.com. For a limited time, you can get 30 days, all access NFL, and we'll throw in college football and CFL for free. I'm hitting 77% for the year with my NFL plays. That's dating back to preseason. In fact, if you go all the way back to the beginning of last year's NFL playoffs, 77% between now and then. Man, that's pretty good. College football hasn't been that good, got to be honest. CFL, though, almost as good. We're kicking ass with CFL. In fact, we're heading into the postseason, and last year in the CFL playoffs, 100% perfect. As always, there's no purchase necessary. You're more than welcome to tune in just for the free picks. The only thing I ask from you is that you take the time to smash that like button. And if you've got anything to say about this game or any other game on the Saturday slate or even NFL games, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. I love hearing from you guys. Even if you say nasty things, that's fine. It probably doesn't surprise you. I do get nasty comments here and there, and we're gonna go over some. I'll show you what people have been saying in the comments this week. Let's start it off with this fella here, commenting on the Alabama Vanderbilt game. Better team, better coach, better quarterback, getting 10.5 points, easy. Don't bet against Pavia. I found this comment to be interesting, let's say, if not downright hilarious. I mean, Vanderbilt, clearly not the better team versus Alabama. Better coach. I mean, Kalen DeBoer has an accomplished history. Obviously, they don't hire a guy to take over for Nick Saban unless he's got an impressive resume. And he was just coming off the Georgia win, winning on the road at Georgia, where the Bulldogs had won 33 in a row. And you're calling Clark Lee the better coach. I mean, I know you guys are Vandy fans and you're passionate, but sometimes the things you say, you should check to see if they make sense first. Better quarterback. I mean, Diego Pavia, I love the guy. He's a gamer. He's fun to watch. Probably doesn't have a future in the NFL. And Ty Simpson could win the Heisman, could end up being the best quarterback in Alabama history. So none of those things are even remotely in touch with reality. And I've already pointed that out a few times on this channel. But then this morning in my inbox, I get this. Buddy, give me a break. You talk about the game Vanderbilt, probably meant to say the Vanderbilt game. What person said, better team, no, better coach, hell yeah, better quarterback by a million miles, way better. by the way, whatever your name is running the channel, don't say you think Alabama would score late. Yeah, maybe, but not when you're supposed to down the ball. I mean, I can't read the whole thing, but you can see this is a disgruntled fan, very angry about the way that Vanderbilt lost and didn't cover last week. And he makes mention of turnovers in the red zone. Welcome to betting football, buddy. That's the way it works every single week. And yes, every time you lose a game, you can point toward, well, if we didn't fumble, or if they didn't, if that penalty didn't get called that way, that's betting football. It sounds like this guy's quite bitter. And yeah, but we welcome these kind of comments. I want to see more of them. Entertainment. Let's see it. Let's get back into this game. This is a big game. We need to talk more about the game. Indiana also 5-0, 3-2 against the spread, and they beat Illinois by a score of 63-10. And then everybody just said, oh, Illinois sucks then, which seems to be the story with Indiana. They keep on setting the bar higher for themselves, and every time the media and the public knock them back and say, yeah, that wasn't really that impressive. They're averaging 47.8 points per game. That's second in the Big Ten. Fernando Mendoza, I said that Dante Moore might be the number one overall pick. Fernando Mendoza is another quarterback that could be drafted high in the NFL draft. Both these quarterbacks, perhaps the number one and number two quarterbacks in the country, along with Ty Simpson. Take your pick. A lot of football left to be played. We'll see. But they're both elite, let's say. He's thrown for 1,208 yards, 16 touchdowns, just one pick. He's completing 73% of his passes. And Kurt Cignetti, you either love him or you hate him. A lot of people don't like him. He's not shy to speak his mind. One of his quotes, "We don't just beat top 25 teams. We beat the shit out of them." I like it. But that said, he was 0-2 against top 25 teams until the Illinois game. This Indiana team, there's reasons to be skeptical. Can they compete with a truly elite team like Oregon? As I mentioned, we have seen teams sort of similar to Indiana come into Eugene in the past and give them a run for their money. Let's say Boise State last year, even though that was a different situation. It was the beginning of the year. Oregon wasn't at its peak yet, and Oregon appears to be at its peak now. If I had to pick a winner, I'm going to pick Oregon, but 7 and a hook maybe scares me off a little bit. I like Indiana as well. I won't be surprised if Indiana gives them a run for their money. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the total. Both Cignetti and Dan Lanning, not exactly conservative coaches. I think they're both going to go for the throat, so to speak, be aggressive in their game plans. They have great quarterbacks, great offenses. They both have great defenses as well, but I think the offenses will rule this game. College football game day should be a shootout, should be exciting. We're taking over 55. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you've got anything to say to me, even if it's nasty, I'll make you famous.
When we look at how teams have done in their first game after firing their head coach this season, we're seeing some point spread success. Virginia Tech played well in the first game after Brent Pry got fired. UCLA played well after Deshaun Foster got fired, covered against Northwestern, and then upset Penn State. Oklahoma State actually covered their only point spread of the season the week after Mike Gundy got fired against Baylor. So what do we think about Bobby Petrino and the Arkansas Razorbacks now that Sam Pittman has joined Pry and Foster and Gundy as a head coach who didn't make it through the midway point of the season? Let's break it down. Teddy covers from WagerTalk.com with a big game breakdown. Arkansas at Tennessee on Saturday, 4:15 Eastern Time, 1:15 here in Las Vegas. And right now, looking at the Odds Logic live odds screen, I'm seeing Tennessee minus 12.5. There are some 12s, there are some 13s out there. It's a little bit of line variance for this ball game. Total sitting in the 68.5/69 range. Bettors expecting plenty of offense in this matchup. Now, Arkansas started 2-0 against lesser competition. They haven't won since. 0-3 straight up, 0-3 against the spread. Pittman got fired right before the bye week. And it wasn't like they weren't competitive. They had a blowout loss to Notre Dame. But they lost to Ole Miss by 6. No shame there. They lost to Memphis, who's been really good and covered every point spread by 1 at the last second. no shame there, but it wasn't good enough for the the fan base and the alumni. And everyone's been waiting for Petrino to take over again for some time, it feels like. And Petrino did have the bye week to install his game plan. And they're facing Tennessee off a bye as well. Tennessee coming off that OT win against Mississippi State. They never sniffed a spread cover in that ball game, despite not one but two defensive touchdowns. The interception return touchdown and the fumble return touchdown, and still didn't sniff a point spread cover. Lucky to win the game by a TD in OT. And they allowed 200 rushing yards in that game. That's a defensive concern for sure. Tennessee does have some injury concerns. That being said, they could get Devin Hobbs back this week. You know, he was hurt in fall training camp. He missed the first 5 games of the season. He is an impact player, third-year starter for the Vols. He's been in 23 games for this team. He gets tackles for loss. He gets sacks. He's a pass rusher. He should help Tennessee in this ballgame, no longer listed on the injury report. Last time these two teams met, in the exact same spot last year. Tennessee coming out of the bye week. They were coming off a hard-fought road win against Oklahoma on the road. And Arkansas was plus 14. The Hogs won the game straight up. 2020, and again, I throw out everything from 2020, but it's worth noting, 2020, the Hogs were dogs in that game. They won the game straight up. 2015, Hogs were dogs. They won straight up. 2011, 49-7, they won. The last time Tennessee beat Arkansas was 2007. They don't play every year, but that's one of those weird things. So here's Tennessee coming off a win and a bye, the exact same spot that they were in last year. You know, you read the quotes from Heupel, quote, you can point to last year and the way that we played coming off a bye week. You look at last week, excited, happy about the way we competed, and went and played the next play, the next series, the way we finished that game. There are a lot of things we could do better. That's in every phase of the game, certainly offensively, special teams. Whether you win or lose, it's dealing with that reality and how you get better. So, yeah, they were in this spot last year, and they lost straight up. Heupel saying, oh, well, we learned from that lesson. Don't know if they did, necessarily. Before I talk about the Arkansas side of the equation, I do want to ask you guys one simple favor. If you like this type of content, hit that like button. Bing, done, thank you. Comment below, tell us what you think about this matchup or any of the games this weekend, college football. And be sure, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. More than 222,000 of you have subscribed to this channel already. You get free content every single day. You get instant alerts every time these videos go live. Like, comment, and follow. Please and thank you. If you're interested, check out my page, wt.buzz/TC. We're running good. 10-3, 77% college football run over the last 2.5 weeks. 15-5, 79% MLB playoff run. Dates back to last year. Winning in college football, winning in MLB. All sports, 64% run over the last 2.5 weeks. Making money right now for the clients and I. Again, check out the page, wt.buzz/TC. We have a $49 Weekend Warrior football package. If you're interested, and we have longer-term deals as well. Don't buy a play. Get on board and let's partner up, see if we can make some money. Here in October, check out the page, wt.buzz/TC, or just visit WagerTalk.com. So what have we seen in the early stages of the Petrino era at Arkansas, or another Petrino era at Arkansas? Well, he basically changed the entire defensive coaching staff. You know, significant changes. Their practice schedule was changed. The periods are shorter. Here's a quote from a defensive end, Quincy Rhodes. Quote, the tempo has definitely changed. It's a lot quicker. The periods are shorter, but they're, again, a quick pace. The coach has done a great job in getting to the nail of things and being able to focus on the details. Petrino talking about his game plan against the Volunteers. Quote, the key to playing Tennessee is to have a way to stop the run and not give up big explosive plays running the football. You know, those were multiple quotes from Petrino about we got to stop the run. We're focused on stopping the run. So if you're looking for QB props here, you might be interested in taking some Joey Aguilar over numbers, if you can find those, because the defensive game plan for Arkansas is definitely run-based. They want to stop the Vols on the ground. I'm concerned about the Tennessee piece of this equation. All right, the fact that they lost this game last year, some people say it's a motivator. I say it's always in the back of their minds. We've seen teams like Arkansas, when they fire their coach midseason, that next game is absolutely a step-up game, and I believe that's going to be the case here. If I'm playing, I can only take the dog, Arkansas, plus the points. That's what I'm looking at in this one. Thank you so much for watching WagerTalk TV. Best of luck with all your bets. We appreciate those likes, comments, and follows very, very much. And stay tuned right here on this channel for more quality free play video content. Cheers.
There's a lot of big games in the SEC in Week 7, and in this video, we're going to cover 2 of them. We're going to take a look at the Florida Gators at the Texas A&M Aggies, and we'll finish it off with the South Carolina Gamecocks at the LSU Tigers. Let's get right into it. The Gators snapped a 3-game losing streak with a home win over Texas in what some might say was the Futility Bowl. Both teams came in really struggling. It was expected to be a rock fight, but there was actually some points in that game. The Gators won 29-21, and DJ Lagway was finally living up to the potential that everybody thought he was going to have heading into the season. He threw for 298 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick on 21 of 28 passing. A very impressive performance from DJ Lagway against a very good Texas defense. The question, though, is, can Florida do it on the road? And was that a one-off? I mean, which Florida team are we going to see this week? We've seen them struggle 3 weeks in a row, and then they pull a rabbit out of the hat and beat Texas. Florida ran the ball for 159 yards on 37 carries last week, but the Gators ranked 13th in the SEC, averaging just 130 rushing yards per game. They've only scored 3 rushing touchdowns. That is not great. And Mike Elko and the Texas A&M Aggies, they have a pretty stellar defense. Offensively, they're pretty solid. Elko, he was quoted ahead of this game saying, "We're preparing for the red-hot Florida Gators." And that was sarcastic, certainly. I don't know if that was meant to be a slight to Billy Napier, but sarcastic nonetheless. At the end of the day, I think I trust Mike Elko more than I trust Billy Napier. I trust the Aggies more than I trust the Gators. This line looks huge, really, considering 7.5 points for 2 teams that should be comparable in talent. But like I said, I trust the Aggies to be better prepared, more focused. Could it be a letdown spot for Florida? I'm not sure, but I am sure that I trust Mike Elko at home. Kyle Field's a tough place to play. As much as I think this is a big number, we're going to have to lay it with Texas A&M. We'll reluctantly lay 7.5 with the Aggies. But before we get into the second game, let me tell you about a promotion we have available right now at WagerTalk.com. For a limited time, you can get 30 days all access NFL, and we'll throw in college football and the CFL absolutely free. I'm hitting 77% with my NFL picks this season. And actually, if you go back all the way to the beginning of last year's NFL playoffs, still hitting 77%, 39-12. That's 77%, 23-7 so far this season. College football hasn't been as good. CFL has, though. We're heading into the playoffs soon, and I was 100% perfect with CFL playoffs last season. As always, there's no purchase necessary. You're more than welcome to tune in just for the free picks. The only thing I ask from you is that you take the time to smash the like button. And if you've got anything to say about these games or any games on Saturday or even the NFL, hit me up in the comments. I love hearing from you. I get a ton of great comments every video I do every week, and I get a lot of positive comments, the occasional negative one, and I do a little bit of a segment in the middle of the video where I like to share recent comments, and I will share some of last week's comments or recent comments. We got J2 Dab Biggest saying, "You're the man, dog. No fluff, just the good stuff." And I get a ton of comments like this. I appreciate all of them. I want to thank J2 the biggest, but not everybody feels that way. Let's look at another perspective. So Silk Den 1 says the analysis for this game begins at 5:07, and he provides a timestamp. And I got back to him and said, well, maybe you want to click on the timestamp if you don't want to hear about one of the two teams that are involved in the game, being the Giants in the Thursday night football game. And he says, certainly not wanting to hear you air your grievances with the chat over screenshots. Well, I don't consider it airing my grievances. I just consider it interacting with people commenting. Most people seem to like it, as you saw with the previous comment. I will say that it's questionable at best to try to skip the first 5 minutes of my video. If you want to get to my pick, if you want to bet on my picks, but you don't want to know how I came to the conclusion, I think that's a bit of flawed logic. I really disagree with the premise. I know there's a lot of people scouring YouTube just looking for the picks. They don't want to hear a damn word I got to say. And if you don't want to hear what I have to say, I mean, nobody's forcing you to watch these videos. But as always, all comments are welcome, all perspectives. I do appreciate the comments. Let's get back into the video. Let's take a look at the South Carolina Gamecocks and the LSU Tigers. LSU will be a 9-point favorite. The total sits at 44.5, and South Carolina comes in 3-2 against the spread as well. Both these teams are coming off a bye, and both might have needed the bye as well. For South Carolina, the health of their quarterback, Lenore Sellers, determines how competitive they're going to be. Without Sellers, they're not competitive at all. He's kind of a one-man show at the moment. This South Carolina team is not as talented as it was last year, and they really need Sellers to be Superman to be able to be competitive in SEC games. But he is capable of being Superman from time to time, very much like Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia. The Tigers, they're coming off a 24-19 loss at Ole Miss. This LSU team came into the season expected to be one of the best teams in the SEC, best teams in the country, especially after they beat Clemson. Everybody was really high on them. Turns out their offensive line is not good. Garrett Nussmeier playing behind a poor offensive line has not been good. They can't run the ball. Their defense has been phenomenal, but they're an incomplete team, and I'm not sure you want to lay 9 points with a team that has trouble scoring. South Carolina, they rank dead last in total offense in the SEC, 309 yards per game, scoring 24 points per game. But LSU not far ahead of them, 364 yards per game and 27 points per game. You look at last year's meeting between these two teams, LSU won by a score of 36-33 at South Carolina. Now, South Carolina isn't as good as they were last year. Well, neither is LSU, really. Both these teams have been very good defensively. LSU's allowing 12 points per game. South Carolina is averaging or allowing 18.8 points per game. It's going to take a stellar performance from Lenore Sellers for South Carolina to make a game of this. And call me a sucker, but I'm going to buy into it. I'm going to say Sellers can keep the Gamecocks in this game. So we're going to take South Carolina plus the points. We're going to lay them with Texas A&M. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you've got anything to say to me, I'll make you famous.
2 high-profile college football games on Saturday night, both at 7:30 Eastern, both on national TV. Michigan, USC, Georgia, Auburn. I've got free plays with analysis for both of these primetime games Saturday night right here, right now. Hi, this is Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV. And let's look at the first game. We'll go down in betting rotation order. Both games, as I mentioned, start at 7:30 Eastern. Number 15, Michigan at unranked USC, Southern Cal, 7:30 Eastern on NBC. And don't look now, but USC, the unranked team, is a home favorite in this game, and that always catches my attention. It always makes my short list. I like to play these unranked favorites against ranked teams, whether it's college basketball or college football. And right now, USC is holding steady as a 2.5-point home favorite, pretty much with a line open. Have seen the juice now minus 115 in some spots. So if you like USC, I would recommend playing them earlier than later. Grab that -2.5 before it possibly hits the key number of 3. About an 8 to 9% chance USC wins this game by exactly 3 points. If you like Michigan, I would wait. You might get a +3 by kickoff on Saturday night. But I like USC in this game for a few reasons. First of all, let's look at my 10,000 game simulation. I've got USC on average winning by almost 6 points in this game. So at -2.5, there is some line value with the Trojans. Also like the fact that USC is coming off a bye week after that tough loss at Illinois as a 7-point road favorite 2 weeks ago. Bye week came at a perfect time. This is still a team that's 4-1 straight up. It's still a team that's incredibly good offensively. In fact, out of 136 FBS Division 1A teams, I still rank USC as the best offense in the country, averaging 48.5 points a game, including 59 points per game at home. They're averaging 11 yards per pass attempt this year. That means every time they drop back, which is almost 31 times a game to throw the ball, they're getting a first down. This is an explosive offense. And yes, Michigan's defense has looked good, but they're still giving up 6.8 yards per pass against teams that average 8.2. Tough schedule, but USC is averaging 11 yards per pass. This is a huge step up in class for the Michigan defense, which has looked good so far, and was having to travel now after just playing Wisconsin. Meanwhile, USC rested at home off the loss. Looks like a good setup, and we're getting some line value as well. I like the Trojans at -2.5. I would play it sooner than later, just in case it does hit that key number of -3. That once again at 7:30 Eastern for you on NBC National TV. Also at 7:30 Eastern on ABC National TV, number 10 Georgia at unranked Auburn. Another ranked road team against an unranked home team. Difference is Georgia is favored in this one by 3.5. But I'm not so sure that's the right team being favored here. In fact, my 10,000 game simulation on average has Georgia winning by just less than a point. So although I do have Georgia winning by 1, I don't have them winning by this kind of a margin. And once again, 3 is such a key number. I'd say there's about a 9 to 10% chance Georgia wins by 3. The reason, total is just 46. The USC game, it's 57.5. When you have a lower total, the point spread's usually a little more accurate, and that means a 3-point victory is also more likely. So maybe a 9 to 10% chance Georgia wins by exactly that key number of 3 itself, plus 3.5 or more, which is the current line across the board. There is some value here with Auburn. You know, the look-ahead line this summer was going to be as high as 7.5. So even though Auburn just 3-2, the line is shorter, and that's because the Georgia defense has not looked quite as dominant as expected. Georgia this year is giving up some yardage through the air. In fact, if you look at the Georgia numbers, 7.2 yards per pass allowed. Auburn giving up 7.7. Georgia's throwing the ball well and running the ball well, and Auburn has run the ball well at times this year. Their problem has been a lack of a passing attack. In fact, they rushed for almost 50% of their total yards this year. And yes, Georgia's strength has been their run defense. But once again, my simulation favors Georgia by only 1. I'm going to lean towards the simulation in this one because of the scheduling spot. Auburn, like USC, coming off their bye week. And I think the bye came at the perfect time. Keep in mind, this Auburn offense looked pretty good in the first 3 games. They put up 38 points, 42 points, and 31 points. And then they kind of fell flat with just 17 points at Oklahoma and 10 points against Texas A&M. But those are 2 top 10 opponents on the road. Very difficult spots. They did struggle to run the ball in those games. So I think the bye came at the perfect time last week to get ready here for also a top 10 opponent in Georgia. Some line value and a great scheduling setup here. Wouldn't be surprised to see Auburn play a little bit better offensively than they have the past couple weeks with that bye week. I would lean towards Auburn at that key number of plus 3.5 or more. That's at 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Hey, there you go. 2 of your biggest games Saturday night, both on national TV. Free plays and analysis for you in both games. Hope you found it useful. If you did, all I ask is a thumbs up like. Click the thumbs up like. It takes 2 seconds, and I will keep doing these videos for free each and every week for you here on WagerTalk TV. If you're finding it useful, I love positive comments below because I do truly read the comments and I reply back. And drop which other games you like on the Saturday night card in college football. Hey, include some analysis if you have time. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, do so. Over 223,000 subscribers, can't be wrong. It's free to subscribe to WagerTalk TV. Just click subscribe and you've done it. And also consider clicking that bell as well so you never miss out when a free play video is posted throughout the week here on the channel. Don't forget, I gave you the weeknight college football games. I try to give you every Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night national TV NFL game. my top 25 college football video for Saturday, my NFL Fade the Public video for Sunday. Click that bell and you'll never miss out when a free video is posted here on WagerTalk TV. By the way, basketball starts in a couple weeks. We will have some free basketball videos. Baseball playoffs are going on right now. Great time to be an All Sports All Access client. And right now you get 7 days for just $77. No promo code needed. It's a 7-day All Sports sampler for just $11 a day. Or if you want a little bit of a longer term package, of course, the 7 days is going to get you college and pro football and Major League Baseball over the next week. Playoffs. College and pro basketball, though, starts in less than a month. The NBA starts October 21st, just in over 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, actually. So if you buy a 3-month All Sports, you're going to get all those sports, and I'm going to give you the 4th month for free. That's right. Buy a 90-day and get the 4th month for free. It's 120 days for the price of 90. No promo code needed. Or the best deal, how about getting the rest of 2025 All Sports All Access for free? That's over 2.5 months still to go this year for free when you sign up for 2026. Start taking a consistent, intelligent, long-term investment approach. Play consistently each day. Buy 2026 now and you get the rest of this year for free. All those offers, no promo codes needed, are on my page right now. Full details, along with a daily bonus free play. That last cut for my best bet card goes up as a free play each and every day for my loyal followers. You don't even have to be a paid client. Everybody gets the free play. I've got an advanced NFL play for this Sunday up right now with analysis. So go get the free play, check out the best bets, and check out the special offers, and get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. By the way, I also have a promo code up if you want a 30-day football only for the price. Get college or pro for $179, or get them both for $179 with promo code FB30. If you do the 1-month college and pro football combo, use checkout code FB30 to get it for just $179. That's like buying one and getting the other free. Hey, look, you don't have to memorize all the special offers. They're all listed on my page right now, along with that free play, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. On the way out, don't forget to follow me on social media, at Steve Merrill, 2 R's, 1 L, MERRIL, at Steve Merrill on X and Instagram. And stay tuned here to WagerTalk TV, because you know there's more free play videos coming up next.
So BYU started 9-0 last year, and then they lost to Kansas and Arizona State, and that was the end of their championship dreams, their playoff dreams. They actually played a bowl game before New Year's, which is never a goal for anybody. But nonetheless, a positive season for BYU and a great start, 9-0 a year ago. This year, they're already 5-0, but they will be facing their toughest test of the season in Tucson on Saturday night. Let's break it down. BYU at Arizona in the desert. Should be a lot of fun. Teddy covers from WagerTalk.com with a big game breakdown and looking at the odds logic live odds screen right now. I'm seeing BYU -1.5. There are some -2s out there. Total 47.5/48. And by the way, guys, if you've never tried a live odds service, check out this. oddslogic.com/Teddy. Free 7-day trial. All access. No nonsense. Again, oddslogic.com/Teddy. We're not going to automatically charge your card, but it's cool, and it'll help you with 2 key factors. 1, where to bet. You see all the different books on the screen. 2, when to bet. You can see you as the markets start to move if you need to get down. So I encourage you, check it out again, oddslogic.com/Teddy to get that free 7-day trial. Right now, again, BYU short chalk, total relatively low for this ball game. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. here in Las Vegas. Last year, these two teams met, was a one-sided affair. BYU 41, Arizona 19. That was their first meeting as conference rivals. BYU 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread the last 4 meetings. The last Arizona win in the series came back in a 2008 bowl game. That said, I don't worry too much about the ancient history. Last year's history matters because it tells us how they've done recently and where these two programs have been. And last year, BYU won this game by 22 points, although a lot of that had to do with with turnovers for the Arizona Wildcats. Now, BYU is 5-0 straight up, 3-2 against the spread. They had 3 straight covers to open the season, and then failed to cover as chalk each of the last 2 ball games. They beat Colorado by only 3 at -6.5. They beat West Virginia by only 14 at -20.5. And the 24 points they allowed to West Virginia last week is the most they've allowed in any game. They faced a quarterback they didn't have any film on. They got plenty of film on Noah Fafita. You know, he's coming off his own brilliant performance last week. 376 yards, 5 touchdown effort against Oklahoma State. He's the reigning Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. That being said, you cannot compare the BYU defense with the Oklahoma State defense. Much tougher competition this time around for the Arizona signal caller. Of course, we talked about the struggles that happened last year in this ballgame for Fafita and company. He threw 3 interceptions last year in Provo. This year, 16 touchdowns, more than 1,300 passing yards. They've been pretty good. He's been pretty good. Better than he was perhaps a year ago. BYU, they've been minus 6.5 or higher in every game so far. They haven't really stepped up in class yet. Zona's probably the best team they've faced. I mean, East Carolina, Stanford, Portland State, West Virginia, Colorado. Yeah, it's not a who's who of being dominant. Of course, they've got a Frosh QB in Barrett Bachmeier, a guy who was at Stanford last spring and is now leading an offense, that's a freshman at Stanford last spring, who's now leading an offense that's scoring more than 38 points per game. And let's give credit to the offense coordinator, Aaron Roderick. He's gotten Zach Wilson to the NFL. He's gotten Jaron Hall, Jake Retzlaff, guys that didn't come in particularly hyped, who've all played well for him. We're seeing another QB doing that. This Aaron Roderick, A-Rod, seems to have his next guy. And the BYU offense works best when they have a QB that can make plays with his legs and make quick, efficient throws. And that's certainly what we've seen from Bachmeier and company here. That being said, this is his toughest competition on the road as a Frosh QB. That's certainly a concern. In addition, BYU with a key defensive injury. Jack Kelly's their best pass rusher. Jack Kelly listed as doubtful after suffering a shoulder injury against West Virginia last week. So that's definitely a concern for the BYU Cougars in this one. Before I talk about Arizona, I do want to ask you guys a simple favor. If you like this type of breakdown, please just give us a like button. Hit the like button. Give us a like. It makes all the difference in the YouTube algorithms. Thank you. We appreciate it very, very much. Comment below. Tell us what you think about this game and any of the games in college football this weekend. And if you haven't done so already, join the more than 222,000 of you who have subscribed to the WagerTalk YouTube channel and get instant alerts every time these videos go live. So like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to hype just a little bit. I'm running pretty good, guys. 10-3, 77% college football run over the last 2.5 weeks. Coming to the weekend. That dates back to September. 15-5 MLB playoff heater. 75% in MLB playoffs. Rock solid. 64% across all sports. That counts every play, every day over the last 2.5 weeks. Check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC, to get on board. I get it. Buying plays isn't for everyone. But if you're interested, let's partner up. We have $49 Weekend Warrior football packages. We've got weekly deals, monthly deals, seasonal deals. Get on board. We're making money right now. Check it out. Again, wt.buzz/TC. I appreciate your support. And even if you don't want to get on board, I appreciate you watching my video. All right. Arizona, 4-1 straight up. 4-1 against the spread. They, like BYU, haven't really stepped up in class a whole lot yet. The one game they did at Iowa State, they got annihilated. They lost 39-14. They're only 3.5-point dogs this season. That being said, I've been impressed with the Wildcats defense. They're the only team in college football that hasn't allowed a single passing touchdown yet this season. The stakes are very high for Brent Brennan right about now. Arizona underachieved last year, another underachieving season, and all of a sudden he's on the hot seat. They're facing a Frosh QB, and this might well be the biggest game for Arizona in the Brennan era just so far. He's begging the fans to show up on Saturday night. I think they will. And again, if they go to 5-1, that's going to legitimize the hot start and give them potential to hang around in the Big 12 race for a little while. I like Arizona. Don't love them, but I can only look at the home dog in this one. I worry about the Frosh QB on the road. I worry about the step up in class in BYU defensively. And I think Arizona is just good enough to make up for their dismal performance against BYU last year. Should be fun, should be close. I'll call for the Wildcats to get the W. Give me Arizona as home dogs. Late night action on Saturday. Thank you so much for watching WagerTalk TV. Appreciate those likes, comments, and follows very, very much. Stay tuned right here on this channel for more quality video content, and best of luck with all your bets this weekend and beyond. Cheers.
If you're looking for a late night bailout game this Saturday, I got you covered with Arizona State at Utah. This would have been a former Pac-12 rivalry, but now it is the Big 12. Utah will be a 5.5-point favorite. The total sits at 48. Arizona State comes into this game with a 4-1 record. They're 3-2 against the spread. Their last two games finished with the exact same final score, 27-24. Big wins in conference play against Baylor and TCU. And if you look at this Arizona State team, 3 of their last 4 games have been decided by 4 points or less. These guys were the Big 12 champs last year. They're still a very competitive team, but Utah is a tough place to play. We'll see how that works out. Arizona State is 10-2 against the spread in their last 12 overall. They're coming off of a bye, so they should be well rested and ready to go here in Utah. They rank 13th in the Big 12 in passing, averaging just 208 yards per game. Sam Leavitt hasn't been bad. He's, getting a good enough for them to have a 4-1 record. Let's say that. Maybe they miss Cam Scatabo, but they rank 3rd in rushing, averaging 216 yards per game. So they're getting it done on the ground. Before we talk about the Utah Utes, I got to tell you about a promotion we have available right now at WagerTalk.com. For a limited time, you can get 30 days, all access NFL. We'll throw in college football and CFL 100% free. How am I doing with the NFL? Well, 23-7, 77% so far this season. You go back to the beginning of last year's playoffs, 39-12. That's 77%. College football has not been as good. CFL has. The CFL playoffs are coming right up here, and I was 100% perfect in CFL playoffs last year. As always, there's no purchase necessary. You're more than welcome to tune in just for the free picks. The only thing I ask from you is that you take the time to smash that like button. And if you've got anything to say about this game or any other game this Saturday or even the NFL, hit me up in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. I get a ton of great comments in every video. Some of them are positive, some of them aren't. Let's take a look at what people have been saying in recent videos. J2 DeBiggest says, "You're the man, dog. No fluff, just the good stuff." Well, I appreciate that. I always love hearing positive feedback, but you can't always please everybody. Let's see somebody who wasn't happy, or I shouldn't assume they weren't happy. Maybe they were. White Fang 112 says, "You look like the love child of Groucho Marx and Kramer." Well, I don't know if he meant that as an insult or a compliment. It doesn't really look like much of a compliment, but anyways, the important thing is he took the time to leave a comment, and I appreciate all comments, even if they're critiquing my appearance. Let's get back into the game. Utah, 4-1 overall, 4-1 against the spread. Their only loss on the season came at home to Texas Tech, and that was an early start, and they weren't competitive at all. Texas Tech ran them over, and I'm not sure how much we can read into that game. Texas Tech went out, spent a bunch of money in the offseason. This team is absolutely loaded. They're dominant on the line of scrimmage, and Utah just couldn't hold up against Texas Tech. But Arizona State is not designed the same way Texas Tech is. Utah, though, they failed to win 5 of their last 6 home games. They've been pretty bad at home last year, and then this year they lose that game to Texas Tech. But a lot of that had to do with quarterback injuries to Cam Rising. They were down to their third and fourth string quarterback a lot of the time last season. So they brought in Devin Dampierre. He's been pretty good. He's coming off probably his best game since he arrived at Utah, 237 yards and 4 touchdowns against West Virginia on 21 of 26 passing. They beat the Mountaineers 48-14. Aside from that game against Texas Tech, Utah has been as good as advertised. And if you go before last season, you go back a decade, let's say, Utah has been one of the toughest places in all of college football to play. The Utes are also coming off a bye week. They rank 4th in the Big 12 in total offense, averaging 469 yards per game. I'd love to take Utah minus the 5.5 here, but I have too much respect for Arizona State. Like I said, 3 of their last 4 games decided by 4 points or less. I think Arizona State's going to hang, and I think both teams are going to get their share of points. So we're going to take the over 48 in this late night bailout game. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you've got anything to say to me, even if it's nasty, I'll make you famous.
Hey, happy Saturday here. This is WagerTalk's Last Call. We got a star-studded lineup for you this morning. Art DeCesar is back from the Westgate Superbook, which means we're going to get all the sharp information behind the counter. Gianni The Greek's going to give us from the other side all the stuff that he saw groups play, what he's seeing in the back end of his accounts. Ralph Michaels is going to take all of your college football questions. And of course, we have a UFC match tonight. So Kyle Anthony is going to join the show. If you guys have a question, drop it in the chat. That's how this show works. I want to get ready, start watching football. So I am here solely for you. And if you're not asking questions, I'm getting out of here because I want to make some of these last minute bets. Let's bring in Art DeCesar from the Westgate Superbook. I know he is super busy this morning, as he always is, over there behind the counter. Art, welcome in. I finally got to catch an episode of the best betting show ever. I'm so sorry you subject yourself to that every single day of the week with the press. But if you guys haven't got a chance to check it out, it is absolutely hilarious. It's a great show, great information.
Well, I'll say this. I actually take Mondays off because that's a mental health day for me after, doing the show with them all week. So Monday, I need a day to myself, and away we go.
I love that for you. I wish I got one of those. I'm going to be joining the Prez on End Zone Live tomorrow watching the games. And I'm already like, all right, what is going to be my drink of choice here? Because last time Prez and I were on the same side was the Eagles. They were getting obliterated. And the next thing you know, chaos ensued. It ended up being a really fun time. All right, let's get into kind of what we've got on this beautiful college football slate. A lot of really great games today. Obviously, we've got the Red River Shootout, or rivalry, or whatever the heck it's called now, there in the Cotton Bowl. We've got a pair of really nice SEC games and a couple of those under the radar SEC games. But first, I want you to kind of rattle off what you guys are seeing early action here for this Saturday morning.
Yeah, let's just start early kickoffs. Charlotte at Army. You saw a lot of early Army money. They laid 17.5. They laid 18.5, up to 19.5 on that game. Pitt and FSU, very interesting. They took Pitt at 11. They laid 10 with Florida State. We've kind of settled back in the middle there at 10.5. So we've seen two groups on both sides of that game. UCLA at Michigan State. Early, it was really one-way traffic on UCLA, 8.5, 7.5. We were at Michigan State 7 this morning, and then we saw some money come in there, moved us back to 7.5. Interesting on that. We don't talk a lot of totals, but the total really got bet down on that game. 54.5 all the way to 52. So keep that in mind. Bama, Missouri's a game where they're just going to basically go 3.5 the whole day. That's what they're going to do. There are a lot of 3 -20s out there. We don't like to do that for the most part, but if we have to, we will. The sharp money on Missouri was at 3.5. Ohio State saw money when it got to 14, but the early money was on Illinois. So, listen, we'll probably need Illinois in the game regardless because, Ohio State will be a sweetener for everyone's money line parlays. That's just how it goes.
Kind of go into the madness behind that because I think a lot of times when I text people, here are the Westgate needs, they don't really understand it, right? You've got sharp money coming in early in the week. You've got recreational money coming in. You've got house players being thrown into the mix. And all of those factors tend to come up with what you need. Now, John Murray makes it easy on Monday nights. He's like, hey, we need the Giants to win outright. But Saturday, because there's so many games, there's so many money line parlays, there's people that tease college football. We're not even going to get into that. But a lot of kind of crazy things that start to happen. The needs are a little bit different.
Absolutely. Talk about teasing college football. One of our best house players, $30,000 tease this morning with Ole Miss and Ohio State, 6-point teaser.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss minus 26 now in a teaser. So it does happen. Obviously, it's not as prevalent with the teasers as is the NFL because of the key numbers. But you're right, that early week action, too, a lot of the times a game could get faked. It could be they're taking 4, they're taking 3.5. They want to get it under that field goal so then they can really plow minus 2.5. So that happens a lot, too. You got to be a little bit wary of those early, weak moves because also to the limits, they're not as big. Obviously, on a Saturday, we're at full limit. So always keep that in mind.
What are full limits there at the Westgate Superbook for if somebody wanted to come in with that?
Ohio State's been really, really good. The defending national.
Be a little different.
Of course, app limits are always different. We always try to extend people over the counter. I mean, if you're going to come in on a college football game over the counter and we don't know you and it's like a first time bet, you could definitely get 10 dimes on a game, just a regular game. Now, if it's a bigger, high-profile game, some games where we designate this is a bigger game, yeah, I don't see why you couldn't get 20. I mean, obviously we always want to establish new players and establish kind of what's going on with that player, and we evaluate as we go through the process.
Well, and I think also Saturday morning too, if you need the other side, or the side they want to bet, maybe you're going to take a little bit more, take a little bit less. All right, let's kind of go over some more of these games here. Johnny Detroit's in the comment section. Of course, he's asking about Michigan USC. I think the initial reaction, at least for myself, is whenever I see a ranked team catching points, I'm going, oh boy, is this going to be the square dog here? But John Murray told me on Kelly and Murray this week that they saw early money on Michigan.
We did. Now, when that was the game of the year, that was a pick, and then we reopened USC -3. We did see Michigan money at 3. We saw Michigan money on the money line there. We've kind of been going back and forth. That's one, too, where we go to 2.5, they lay 2.5, when we go to 3. So that's been a real back and forth game. Some of kind of the 12:30 slates. This is one where I thought it was a fake early in the week. They took Colorado at 4 and 3.5 and 3, and Iowa State was 2.5, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting. When's the big Iowa State money going to come? It came a little bit, and we moved back to 3, but it wasn't as prevalent as I thought. That really wasn't a fake. The sharps really are on Colorado. Arkansas took a lot of money, 12.5, 11.5. Tennessee now -10 at home. Tennessee is going to be a need for us. I know a game that you have talked about, Nebraska and Maryland. That's another one, two-way action. They lay 6.5 in Nebraska. They take 7 with Maryland. So been really going back and forth with that. We need your team today, Kelly. K-State. Oh, so much TCU money.
I'm so sorry.
I know. We need K-State in that game. A lot of TCU money. TCU now up to a 2-point favorite. Indiana and Oregon. This was a game of the year, and it was Oregon -14. So, I mean, obviously Indiana has been kind of, they've been repower rated, a little bit higher than normal. Not that Oregon's been downgraded, but when we reopened this, we were as high as 9. Saw Indiana money there, and then we saw Indiana money at 7.5. Oregon now -7. And then, this Red River shootout game, because you don't know, I guess the quarterback's probably going to play, but this thing's been going back and forth. We were sitting at pick this morning. Now we're back to Texas -1.5. We've seen a lot of Texas money all week, so we really need Oklahoma in the game. Oklahoma's probably within our top 2 needs of the day.
Wow. That is not something I expected to hear, that you were going to need Oklahoma, especially if John Mateer is a go. I'm going to go ahead and guess he probably is. But I think a lot of people, myself included, are expecting an Arch Manning bounce back.
Yeah.
We'll see how that one goes. Okay, a couple more questions before we get you out of here. Another big SEC game. And John and I talked about this as well, similar to Alabama-Mizzou. It's at 3.5. It kind of, I think, is like that fishy line. I'm assuming a lot of people want to take Georgia in this spot.
Yeah, and we were 3, and then we saw Georgia money at 3.5 even, and it got us to 4 on the game. So, the initial flood of money from the public and the sharps have been on Georgia.
Interesting. Okay, of course, everybody wants to know your best bet, and we're going to get to that in a minute. Don't you worry. Art has been on fire with those best bets. Kind of give me anything else you've got for the rest of the Saturday slate in terms of what you guys are going to be rooting for.
Yeah, sure. Some of the late stuff. We saw Clemson money at -13, -13.5, up to 14 against BC. BC looked like they'd never played offense last week, and they're now back on Clemson. The Arizona State-Utah game is a shame now because the Arizona State quarterback is just basically dead. He's not going to play. So you got Utah up to 10 now. People took under 49 early in the week on that. We're now 44.
Holy cow. I played the stale line because, the
sure,
college contest.
Yep.
You get stale numbers sometimes, and I thought, I was back and forth on USC. I was looking at Utah. I was like, you know what? Let me just play the stale number on Utah. 10 is shocking. I'm almost this close now to firing back on Arizona State and just hoping for a nice, what are we talking, 4.5-point middle?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that thing was 4.5 when we reopened it. It got to 5 pretty quickly. The total's gone down 5 points. So really crazy move there, and it ruins what's a really good late night game, best late night game of the week. Purdue saw a lot of money at +9.5, +8.5. Minnesota now 7-point favorite at home. San Diego State saw initial money at 6.5, got all the way up to 7.5, And then we saw the buyback on Nevada at 7.5. That's always a theme. When you're at that touchdown, you see him lay it under and you see him take it over that. That's always a big thing. And here's another under the radar game. Sharp money on Rice at plus 11.5. UTS now minus 10 at home.
All right, a couple more questions before we get you out of here. JoJo wants to know, same thing I want to know. Let's talk about Florida A&M here. Florida off that upset over Texas last week. A&M's offense looks to be rolling. I think this is a case for the better defense plus the points. What are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good two-way, but I would say the initial flood of money did come in on Florida. So I would say A&M probably a small need.
Okay, A&M small need. Nick wants to know, what are the heaviest public bets for today?
Oh, that's interesting. I would say your heavy public bets are probably Michigan State and Alabama.
Okay.
I would say those are two pretty good heavy public things. I mean, Oregon's going to be pretty public. They're going to be popular in the money line parlays today. People, who really don't watch college football week in and week out probably have no respect for Indiana. Not saying I love Indiana, but I think Oregon will be very much a public team today.
All right, we're going to get you out of here. I know you are busy. He did say that early money did come on Pitt. Then they came back and played FSU, Preston. If you missed that one, let's get your best bet and get you on to Monday so you can get that day off.
Yeah, I did it. I'm going to take an ugly one. I'm going to take UL Lafayette plus 18.5 against James Madison. It's a small total as far as college football. It's in the low 40s. I'm almost getting 3 touchdowns. I think they can keep it within that.
A game that I didn't think I was going to want to watch today, but here we go. Art Caesar at ArtDice21 on social media. Make sure you guys are giving him a follow. You can also check him out on the best betting show ever with Joe Ranieri and the Prez right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Thank you, Art. And do not forget, guys, Reduced Juice there at the Westgate Superbook. Primetime games, game day. And, of course, Sundays, you're getting minus 108 on NFL sides, which is just absolutely amazing. We're going to bring in VR right now. He's going to give us the other look behind the counter, the look from the sharp side. VR, welcome in. I know you've been waiting in the wings. Anything to comment on basically what Art had to say? Any conflicting information? Anything you agree with?
No, real quickly. He just confirmed Louisiana Lafayette for me.
I love that. That's great. All right, Louisiana Lafayette, be right back. Me and VR are just going to start live betting mid-show.
I'm doing that. That's exactly what I'm doing right now.
I love that. We're both just going to do it. While you guys generate some questions here, we're going to get our bets in. VR, what's the rotation number there? So I can do this quickly.
Louisiana Lafayette is
131. 131 plus 18.5 minus 105. Look at that. What a beauty, VR. What a beauty. We're going to join our live bet, team bet here on Wager Talk's Last Call. You guys can watch VR with me every single week on Bet On It. We have absolutely been crushing the barking dogs. He gave out another huge barking dog. This week, we're going to see how that plays out. Looks like they're playing a wide receiver as quarterback, VR. And I was like, oh no, he played quarterback in high school. Everybody relax. It is still a ton of points. And I would not be surprised to see the Cowboys show a little bit of grit. We'll get to some more of these college football questions here in just a minute. I'm going to let VR kind of do his thing. You guys are going to get a small preview of what you see on the Steam report, whether it's on Bet On It or Sunday mornings before NFL kickoff.
Yep. And real quickly, I got it, guys always asking, why haven't we firing 5% in college football? We've won every single week. We don't have to. The 4% have been doing good enough. So please stop with the DMs when we find a big bet. And subscribers, you see how I'm doing it. You got a 4% on the side and a 2% on the money line. So we have even more than a 5% bet out there on 2 college football today. So we're getting down. Don't worry about that. Let me give you those 2 first quarter bets real quickly because those do really well. I gave those to subscribers. We bet Virginia Tech in the first half. Virginia Tech plus 7.5 in the first half. Don't be afraid to sprinkle that money line at plus 330. I'm just going to throw that out there. Also, first quarter, UCLA plus 3.5. Don't be afraid to sprinkle the plus 180 as well on the money line. And finally, Stanford plus the touchdown also in the first quarter. So those are some of those first quarter bets. Oklahoma, Texas, no surprise. Texas is now a 2.5 point favorite. We did our job. We thought they were undervalued earlier in the week. That line was about a pick 'em when I gave them out to my guys. So hopefully Texas goes out there and gets it done. I didn't like what Art said with all that risk piling up on Texas. I did not expect that. I thought the Sooner money would continue to come in, but our bet's already placed. I know people like to know what the public's on. I wrote down the most one-sided bets that I see in the back end, public accounts. Mississippi, they're betting Mississippi blindly. They're betting Ohio State blindly. They're betting Texas Tech blindly, Alabama, and Utah. Those 5 are the biggest. Mississippi, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Alabama, and Utah. Those are straight bets, parlayed, teaser, in all kind of combinations. Some of the sharp action, I'll share that with you. If you watch Bet on It, we already covered a couple more key games there that were hit earlier in the week. Here's some more for you. 166 Colorado plus the 4 and plus the 3. 171 Michigan plus the 3. 184 Illinois. We saw Illinois against Ohio State all the way down the plus 14.5. Be careful. I'm starting to see public even starting to take those 2 touchdowns. Again, Ohio State was so one-sided early that's one of the biggest risks for the books. But even with seeing some love on the Illinois side from the sharp bettors, and Purdue plus 10, Purdue plus 9 as well. Also 121 UMass plus 3. That's opposite public. For whatever reason, they're betting the favorite in that game heavily. And also Toledo. Toledo got hit 2 times this morning. They got hit at 8.5, 9 earlier. They got hit again at 9.5, 10. And I think they're getting hit again right now. That's an early game. And then a total for you under 57, 56.5 in Michigan, USC. I know we're all over the board. I have a lot of information here. It's a busy day of college football, UFC, baseball, NFL tomorrow. But it's all organized and we're ready to do some damage.
They really are. If you guys have never seen VR's notes, he is very organized. Even though he and I are a little all over the place, we are very organized human beings. You guys don't want to see my note sheet this morning. It is wild. Okay, a couple questions here from the chat before I get you out of here. Raw Dog 12, we'll get back to those. Raw Dog 12 wants to know his first quarter Stanford is 6.5. So this does happen a lot, VR.
A lot.
You guys are moving it.
Yep.
Other bookmakers are moving it. And unfortunately, when you're getting the secondhand information, sometimes you're getting the worst of the number. So that's kind of my thought process here is, hey, what do we do?
Here's how I sorry, Kel, not to interrupt. Here's how I deal with it. And I tell guys in the steam room all the time so they don't bother customer service. Number one, I give out enough volume that no subscriber's forced to take bad numbers just to have action. More importantly, what number is it? Is it a key number like 7 or 3? If that's the case, then you have 2 options. You pass completely or you limit your risk. If I have a 4% at plus 7 and you still like the side, but you have 6.5, maybe drop it down to a 3%, a 2%. Just limit your risk. The less value you have, the smaller your bet should be. The more value you have, the bigger your bet should be. So when there's times that I send out a plus 7 and your guy has 7.5, you bet a little bit more because you're getting a better number. If you're getting a worse number, you bet a little bit less or you pass. It really is that simple. And I know it's frustrating, but I go through it all day, every day. I'm betting for these groups. And then I have to get my own money down. I have to make that same decision you guys are making. Do I take a half point worse? Do I take a point worse? Because there are times it doesn't matter. Like you're still getting the best of it. But there's times that's not the case. Not to go long, but individually, you have to decide on your own. Like what's your risk tolerance? But I always tell subscribers, with enough volume, you never have to take bad numbers. Like that's the key. We have more than enough bets that you could get down good bets. You don't have to chase bad numbers. That's my advice.
Okay. Very good advice from VR. All right, VR, really quickly, we're going to get to a couple more questions before we get you out of here. What do you have going on right now at WagerTalk.com?
Dude, what a weekend. I have my Saturday college football up. Every play in that is a 4% play. in there in the daily package. Subscribers also get the 3s, the 2s. I have my UFC package. UFC goes off early today. I hit my 5% last week in the UFC. I have another 5% today in the UFC. I have Sunday NFL with my first 5% in a while. It's been weeks since we fired an NFL 5%. Don't wait on that, because I have the game over there in Europe on there. That goes off at 3:30 a.m. Eastern time. So that package will come down by morning when you wake up, and that 5%'s in there. You don't want to miss it. So busy weekend, and we'll have the steam room heading into kickoff tomorrow.
All right, tell everybody what to expect on the steam room. Who is invited to the steam room this week?
All right, it's subscribers that are a month or more. You guys are going to be able to come in there that final hour leading up to kickoff. We're going to go through every game as quickly as possible so I can share side, total, any props I have. We're going to go over year-to-date results and what the goal is through the end of the year, our bet sizing, how we manage our risk, and then I'm there to answer any question you have on individual games. And finally, about 15 minutes before kickoff, we'll wrap up those teasers that are 9-3 so far this year.
All right, VR, a couple questions really quickly. Yep. I was teasing you about the Oklahoma State thing, and those are kind of sometimes the casualties of what we do. If you took the points with Arizona State and then they announced Sam Leavitt's going to be out, quarterback injury for Oklahoma State. Now a guy who played quarterback in high school will be starting. So obviously a significant line move. Do you still like the spot for Oklahoma State, or is it at this point in time you're just like, all right, I got the worst of it, not only number wise, but information wise? What do you recommend people do here?
Yeah, personally, I just let it go, Kel. I don't try to find ways to get off the bet once something like that happens, because I already got down. The way that I get past it mentally is I know that in the majority of my bets, if not 7 out of 10 or greater, I will get the best of it. But there are going to be those times when you try to get out ahead of the market, that information comes out later that goes against you. You just got to swallow that. You got to eat it, roll the dice, and hope you get lucky. Now I have a bad bet on Oklahoma State at plus 14.5. So I'm hoping to be the product of good luck. I wouldn't chase after it by betting it now at a bigger number. If you didn't bet it yet, I probably would, because I think the adjustment's a little bit too significant. But that's how I approach it. Once the bet's placed, it's placed. We move on. And more times than not, again, as long as we're getting the best of the number, more times than not, that's what we're going to keep trying to do, get out ahead of the market.
Do you guys, for example, like I said to Art, in the Super Contest College, I took the stale number with Utah with some of my partners. 2 of them out of the 6 said, let's do it. Do you think it's smart to try to come back in middle, if you will, on Arizona State now at this point in time? Or is that just kind of like, hey, you know what? You got the best of the information. You got the best of the number. Let it go.
If I like Utah, Kel, then I keep it, because I have a bet that I like at a great number. If I just bet it because I thought I'd get a great bet in and I'm getting out ahead of the market, with the total drop in the way it has, I'd probably look to middle this game, because it's more highly probable that I could hit that middle. Otherwise, like you said, I know I got a good bet in my pocket, so I let it go if I have an opinion on that side. If I don't have an opinion, then I'm just going to lock in some profit if possible, and I'll work that middle.
All right. Great advice always from the Great Gambler. You guys can check him out every single week on Wager Talk Today. Bet on it with me. He's always here on Last Call. He'll be joining Errol Epstein tomorrow for the NFL edition. And of course, we're going to give you guys a couple sneak peeks. If you guys are a Wager Talk Insider, WT.buzz/insiders. This week is for subscribers only, but we're going to open that back up to all of our members here shortly. Give VR a follow at Greek_Gambler. Don't forget to hit that like button, thumbs up. There's almost 3,000 of you guys watching with us live right now. And we've got about 36 minutes till kickoff. So we're going to keep this rolling. We're going to let VR get out of here, because I know he's got a lot of work ahead of him. Thank you for always taking the time, VR. And all of these college football questions that I've now starred. I've been annoying our producer the whole time. I've been trying to star all the questions, except I keep adding them to the show so I can go back and get them answered for you guys. Ralph Michaels is coming in to do that for us. I see Kyle Anthony waiting in the wings. So if you guys have a UFC question, drop it in the chat and we will get to that shortly. Ralph Michaels, you look so short compared to me for once in our lives. There we go. You love to see it. Ralph is
Kelly, you said, what is your drink of choice for Prez tomorrow? Is there any options?
No, I got mine. Mine are probably getting kind of old, sitting on the shelf behind me. I should probably drink those and swap those out. I love it. You got Viva handy for the pool later.
I do want to, Kelly, while you guys were talking about unranked favorites, I went to the database. And remember this, early in the season, the ranks are a joke. Coaches don't pay attention. A guy loses, he's out. So this is very interesting, and I think it makes incredible sense. Unranked favorites. I went back to 2017. Unranked favorites, the first 5 weeks of the season, 29-17, 63%. So the rankings mean shit. People are moving up and down. You might be unranked, but you might be one spot below being ranked. You might only be 1 point away. But unranked favorites from game number 7 on, 35-47, 38%. Why? The rankings mean something. You're into conference games. You have an established offense and defense statistical profile. So don't fall into that trap when you get a couple of these early favorites winning. Later in the season, it does not work that way.
All right, I saved all of these college football questions about the actual games themselves, not just the markets and so forth, for Ralph, because Ralph does a weekly college football show called The Blitz. He, Brian Power, Ross Benjamin, Steve Merrill's been joining in here from time to time as well, go over the entire college football card. So if you guys have not got a chance to check that out on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, I highly recommend it. Ralph knows his college football. So we're just going to start off with this question because I want to know. Here we are. I got a big need from John Murray. They're going to need K-State. I got a big need from Art. They're going to need K-State. Ralph, I don't want to bet this K-State team. This team has just drove me nuts all year, including last weekend when they absolutely should have won that game in Waco, like I said they would. And then they blew a double-digit lead. What are you thinking about this K-State team? I've been joking. It's not a joke because it's real. The Aer Lingus Classic, whoever loses it is doomed. They are cursed. Ask Nebraska. Ask Florida State. This K-State team's without Dylan Edwards once again. This line is obviously moving in the direction of TCU, and I kind of don't blame anybody.
Well, you look at Dylan Edwards. I mean, they have 4 players that are between 100 and 200 yards rushing. So they really don't have a go-to rusher. Avery Johnson's still the leader. Their stat profile is not as bad as their record. Obviously, they're 2-3 off the loss at Baylor. But you look at Kansas State, they played the 28th toughest schedule. And they're number 62 in yards per play diff. And that's usually my go-to number. K-State has played a weaker schedule, and they're only 12 spots better. I just can't trust Kansas State. And there's times when you follow a team, Kel, and you know this. If you just cannot get a read on Kansas on a team, it's okay not to play them. This is the game I threw out early. When I go through the stat profile, the situations, my power rating numbers, if they cross them off, I throw them out early. It usually leaves me about 20 games during the week that I'm studying. This is one that I tossed early. I'm with you. I cannot bet the purple Kansas State Wildcats with your money, Kel.
No, I just can't. It's so frustrating. And I have given the advice to other people. I gave it to them. I think it was against Arizona. I was like, you guys are all crazy. Then, of course, they come back, win against UCF. Could they win today? Absolutely. But they're going to have to play preseason K-State expectations type football. And we just
even the UCF game.
Yeah.
Even the UCF game, they only won that game because they were +2 turnovers. Yep. I mean, most college football teams are going to win at home +2 turnovers. So it wasn't even a powerful offensive performance. It was more them getting handed the game.
Yep, it was frustrating. Okay, let's go through some of these other ones. Rob Christensen, does James Franklin run it up today at home to help save his job? Penn State -21 seems light. You guys may remember VR called UCLA last week on the money line. Hand up. I had no money on UCLA money line, like a complete jackass that I am. Ralph, when an upset like that happens, how do teams typically respond?
Well, you look at James Franklin coming off the Oregon game. He's been horrible. He's been horrible off a loss. You would think he's good. What he is, he's a good bully. He tries to run it up against those opponents. And here's the thing. if he has a lead, he will continue to run it up, but I cannot bet on him. Not only did they lose to UCLA, this was not a fake loss. This was a UCLA team that rushed for 269 yards and 5.1 yards per carry. They were that size favorite. They were outgained by 78 yards after getting outgained by 148 yards. In Northwestern, we have a team that wants to run the ball. Granted, they only played ULM, rushing the ball for 38 times for 246, but they rushed 42 times against UCLA, 37 against Oregon, and 41 against Western Illinois. I actually like the under here, and I would only bet the Northwestern side.
All right, another question here from Rob Christensen. I would also love to hear a take on Arkansas, Tennessee, new coach angle in play. Ralph, how do teams respond after they fire their head coach?
I don't have that in college football, Kel, sorry, but, this isn't a new head coach. This is a coach who was here 15 years ago, right? So he has 15 years of experience at this school. This is a game where you look at Arkansas and you say, well, they only put up 365 yards against Notre Dame. That's an actually pretty decent amount. The other 4 games this year, they actually had season highs. So when they went to Mississippi, they had 526 yards. When they went to Memphis, they had 500 yards. This offense is still dynamic. We know the Tennessee offense. This total is crazy high, but I actually do like the over. And let's remember this. When we have these totals that approach 70, the bookmakers don't actually have to make the number where it should be. I actually think this total should be 73, but at 69.5 or 68.5, they're getting equal money on both sides. So often I do like to look at high totals and bet over. I do like taking low totals and betting under. We joked about the MLB game last night, 5.5. Well, it's 5.5 for a reason. Same thing with this total being this high. Tennessee's offense, top 20, averaging more than their opponents allow. Well, guess what? Arkansas the last 3 weeks has allowed 475, 489, 641. Over for me.
Yeah, everybody's texting me right now. Kelly, what are the needs? I'm like, can you guys just not watch the show? So here I am being a good friend and sitting out what everybody wants. Here's a good question. Ralph grew up an Ohio State fan. I think he's got some pretty good insight on this team. So Jay Rice wants to know, does Illinois have a chance today? I'm not going to lie. I looked at the plus 14. I like this Illinois team. I like Brett Bielema as an underdog. Do I think they have a shot to win? And my answer was no. And that is initially why I said, okay, I'm not going to use them in my parlay. Then we kind of went back and forth. Art said he would need them today at the Westgate Superbook. Tell me your thoughts, resident Ohio State fan.
Well, I am not going against this Ohio State defense. I mean, when you're number one, they actually, you're the number one team, which means you're one spot better than 2. But they would actually be like a negative 15. They're probably 16 spots better than the number 2 defense in the country. They've held all 5 opponents to a season low. They are averaging, holding those opponents 220 yards under what they average. By the way, Illinois is averaging 398. I think Illinois knows their only chance is to run the ball against this defense. We also have a freshman quarterback, even though Julian Sain is not playing like a freshman quarterback with a 13-3 ratio and completing the highest percentage in college football at 80%. This is only a second road game. And remember, against Washington, they were very slow to start. And in fact, they only had 138 yards and 7 points at halftime. I actually have a client play on first half under Illinois, Ohio State. It's yours for free.
Ooh, I like that. First half under for Ralph. Last time he came on the show and gave us the first half under, it was easy peasy. Hopefully we get that as well today. Here's kind of an obscure one, but Marco did talk about this game on Bet On It. Ralph, James Madison, 18.5 points. Russell wants to know if this is too many.
Well, didn't we just get a best bet on that from Art? So I don't want to tell people that I like the other side if they already bet, UL. But
well, maybe you're going to provide some insight that makes them have their own decision, right? Art's best bets have been doing well, but so have Marco. So
yeah,
it's kind of that.
This is a game I did not get involved with. James Madison coming off a game at Georgia State where they gained 285 yards, and ULL finally has their rush attack together. They're a team that has to run the ball to be successful under DeSormo, their head coach. The last couple weeks, again, it is Eastern Michigan and Marshall where they put up 441 and 461 yards. I do like ULL as a dog here, but nowhere near a play for me.
All right, let's see what else we got for questions. If you guys have a UFC question, drop it in the chat. Kyle Anthony's coming up here in about 90 seconds. We already talked about this one. Let's see what else we got. Kelly does Florida, Maryland, South Carolina parlay actually have a chance, or is it a donation? Well, last week's parlay actually had a chance, and then all three teams blew a double-digit lead. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. I cannot play the football games for these teams. It has been a very frustrating season. We'll leave it at that. Anything else? Let's see what we got here for Ralph. And Ralph's thought. Here we go. We'll get this last one. Ralph's thoughts on the Arizona BYU game tonight. Keep staring at the +2.5 with the home team, and I'm hoping there's a reason 3 would be bought up is offered. All right, let's kind of break down this game. This is a game that I think, is interesting. This is Arizona, who I'll say they've taken a step forward this year, right? And maybe BYU's taken a small step back. I do think this is a really pick-em type situation, so I didn't get involved, Ralph. What are your thoughts on this Big 12 matchup late night?
I did not get involved either, Kelly. And you look at BYU, and we're starting to get a little bit where the schedule becomes more and more important. Going to East Carolina, getting a win, going to Colorado, eking out a win, coming home against West Virginia, and now traveling again to Arizona. Arizona at home, again, we are talking one of the weakest schedules out there. Hawaii, Weber State, Kansas State, they only win by 6, even though they had a 200-plus yard edge. Lose to Iowa State and lose to Oklahoma State. To me, Arizona State, BYU, even on offenses. The defense, here's where I'm going to surprise you. I actually give a slight edge to Arizona with the better defense. They've held 3 of their 5 opponents to a season low. They're allowing 88 yards per game and 3.0 yards per carry rushing. I do like the Wildcats at home.
All right, Wildcats for Ralph. We're going to get Ralph out of here. But first, Ralph, what do you got going on over at WagerTalk.com?
Well, guys, you got a few minutes to get the Weekend Warrior. My college football plays on a 27-14 run, 66%. And I have a 5% NFL play on Sunday. The Weekend Warrior gets you both. My NFL teasers, 25-7, 4% and 5% teasers, 16-3. I'm number 1 at WagerTalk, 5% the last 365 years. Football, 5%, 17-5. Weekend Warrior, $49. All of my Saturday college football, all of my Sunday NFL. And if I have Monday NFL as well, it's yours as a bonus. The Weekend Warrior, Kelly, has been one of the best specials we've ever had. It's exploding every week, and why wouldn't it? One last note about it. Guys, do not wait until Saturday to get the Weekend Warrior. If you know who you like, sign up on Tuesday. And as soon as we load those plays, you get the line value that we want you to get by being a Weekend Warrior customer. Again, waiting to Saturday is silly if there's a service that you're going to be following for the weekend.
All right, Ralph, we're going to get you out of here. Real quickly, these guys are not paying attention on social media. The Hottie Threesome Parlay, it hasn't been called that in a long time, but it does not have a new name. We're looking at Maryland, starts at 3:30 Eastern, Florida tonight, and South Carolina tonight. Ford Truck Man, do me a favor. At least give us a thumbs up. Maybe hit that subscribe button since you don't want to go to my social media and watch that video. All right, let's bring in Kyle Anthony. We've got a pair of UFC fights. He's been waiting a long time, so I appreciate his patience. But the good news is, Kyle, we've got 4,000 people now. If you would have brought you in the show, you would have had the smaller amount of numbers. So you got 4,000 people wanting these UFC picks. Let's kind of get into some of your thoughts here on this card as a whole before we break down your 2 games.
Yeah, this is a good card here. It's in Rio. It's going to start at about 4 o'clock. It's going to be on ESPN Plus. There's some great fights here, especially if you want some entertaining crowd. Rio, Brazil crowd is absolutely crazy. They're going to be going nuts throughout the whole time. Plus, there's a lot of really good betting opportunities here. So a lot of spots I do have. I've got 5 client plays right now. The last 2 weeks, we've done very well. Over the last 2 weeks, we've cashed 13 units. So got to keep it rolling. And like I said, I always say this, everyone loves the big numbered cards, but there's great betting opportunities every week, basically on a Saturday for fights of UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I understand because you want to go to the bar, you're at the bar, you're watching college football late, you got the UFC fights. I mean, I did that whole thing last weekend and it was crazy to be back and forth having action on one of your fights as well as trying to watch my teams not implode by double digits. Let's get into this first fight here. Joel Alvarez versus Vicente Luque. Talk to me why you like Alvarez by knockout.
Yeah, so this one here, it's a wide line. You've got Alvarez, he's around minus 550 on the comeback here. We do have Vicente Luque at plus 400, and definitely going to find a way to make this a plus money by the knockout. And he's minus 550 for all the right reasons here. I mean, this guy is an absolute killer. He's got 22 victories, all come inside the distance, 100% finish rate. And the thing about him is he's good everywhere. You know, I mean, he's good on the ground. He can submit you. He can have the knockouts. He's really a very tough stylistic matchup for a lot of guys in the division. He's got a big frame. He's very large. But one of the things here is that Luque used to kind of be that way. He was a guy that would come forward. He would throw. He would want a phone booth fight, you know, take one to give one, keep it close. He was durable. And then he took an absolute beating against Jeff Neal, which was a terrible, terrible showing for him. He got knocked out. Afterwards, he contemplated retirement. He also had brain bleeding, wasn't very good situation for him, and just didn't really seem like things were going for him. They did clear him to come back. He's come back, and he has really looked a shell of himself since returning. And the thing he's really needed to do is instead of standing, striking, and kind of leaning on that durability, he's now leaning on the wrestling. He's kind of trying to protect the chin a little bit. Now, a lot of opponents, want to, look to kind of, do that kind of thing and mix it up a little bit. But the thing here is that Alvarez is so elite on the ground that I think that threat of how good and how high level jiu-jitsu that Alvarez has, that he's going to be able to kind of keep this standing, because I don't think Luque is going to want to really be going into the teeth of really what he can do well. And I know that most of, I should say, Alvarez does have submission victories, but I think this really primes very well for Luque to get knocked out brutally in this fight here at this particular point. That, Alvarez is the better striker, the harder hitter. He's really the guy that's going to have that aggressive style, that volume. He's going to be able to move forward. And the thing about it also is that, Alvarez has all these submissions, and you would think that he has gone out there and he's getting a bunch of takedowns. Out of Alvarez's 9 UFC fights, he's only shot 2 takedowns, and he missed both of them. So most of the time, if he's going to the ground, it's his opponent's choice to, and it has not worked out well for his opponents. He's choking them out. So I think this plays out on the feet. 3 of the last 5 losses for Luque are inside the distance, while on the other side here, 3 of the last 4 for Alvarez are inside the distance. So I think that he finds this victory by knockout. I think it's going to be brutal, and I think plus 150 on Alvarez is a really nice price here on a very likely outcome.
All right, here's an interesting question. I'm going to add it one step further. Big sis Lisa's been going crazy in the chat this morning, so I'm going to give her some love. Hi there, Kyle. Do you think that there will be the best fight in Fight Night 261? Now, I'm going to take it one step further. A fight that you think is going to be the best that you didn't bet, that maybe you want to bet, like you're like, this is going to be such a great fight, I want to get involved, but there's no value. And so you're just
there's been a lot of those. I mean, and it's even to last week's point, last week it was, Alex Pereira, it was such a spot where, there was so much down talk about the guy, about, hey, he broke his hand. Did he break his hand? Do you believe it? And, Pereira is one of my most profitable fighters that I have backed. I have been max betting him throughout pretty much his run. He has done very well with that. And then it was almost like last week, it was almost like, am I overthinking it? Is the line throwing me off a little bit there? But that was a spot there where I a ton of value on a guy at plus 230, got the knockout quickly. I did bet on that, but as in something that I have not bet on top of my head, I don't really have anything particular to throw out there.
All right, let's go over this next fight. Here we've got Clayton Carpenter versus Rafael Filo.
All right, there you go.
Oh God!
I was writing it in Slack. I was like, I can't wait to hear you say this.
Show, you guys. If you've never seen the video of me at the Westgate Superbook pronouncing UFC fighters, I don't recommend watching it. Actually, it's very embarrassing.
That's great. All right, so we've got Clayton Carpenter here versus Rafael Filo. Now you've got Filo. Now this line did flip. Last night, it was basically the other way. You had a short favorite for Carpenter. Now it's flipped over to he is a short dog now. And you got Filo that, this guy is a very aggressive presser grappler. He wants to come forward. He's going to crash the pocket. He's going to look to get the takedowns, and he's not going to really look to strike too much. And if he does look to strike, it's pretty much just cutting distance to get his hands on it, to get these takedowns. He's got very good back takes, and there are some things that he does well. One of the biggest issues here is that, yes, he's an elite level grappler, but he is extremely, extremely low volume striker. And that has hurt him multiple times throughout his career. And, he lands less than 2 significant strikes per minute. That is off the charts low. That is absurdly low. And out of his course, it's a little bit smaller of a sample size, only 4 fights. But the 2 fights that went 3 rounds, he landed 9 significant strikes and 14. So it's just really no process to his striking. He doesn't really have too much power on the feet as well. And he's really leaning on, I need to get these takedowns. I need to find that control time. And that's, ground and pound submissions. That's really where he's looking to do, because his striking is wild. It's basic. While I do think that Carpenter here, what he offers, and I think something that's the biggest thing that will counter some stuff that he does do, is going to be the wrestling. And he does have a good wrestling background. I think he can counter some of those takedowns that Philo is going to be shooting. He's going to be able to keep it on the feet when he needs to. Even if it goes to the ground, I do believe that Carpenter has shown some scrambling ability, get up ability. He's going to be the better athlete between these two guys. And another big aspect here is that I think there's a wide gap that's going to be favoring Carpenter in cardio. And, Jafil, early, you're going to see him in this first round. He's probably going to just run across the cage and try to look for a takedown. And that can work in certain spots. But I think, again, a guy that can really nullify some of those wrestling aspects, I think allows Carpenter to find success. And then if any time this plays out in the feet, Carpenter has a massive advantage on the feet. He's a far better striker, crisper combinations. He's the better boxer. He was a former Golden Gloves champion. And I think he's just more technical. In any of those situations, I think he finds a lot of success on the feet. Again, Fiallo, the cardio's not there, but he's very good on top. If he can get those takedowns, Fiallo can be dangerous. But anytime he's been on his back, he has just not been able to get up. He has struggled. And I think that opens up an opportunity for Carpenter to look for some takedowns and be offensive with his wrestling, not just worrying about the takedowns himself, looking for some of those takedowns on his side here. So you're getting him now at around plus 108. There's some like plus 110s, 115s out there. So I like that. I mean, plus money is good money, and I think that he gets the job done today.
Plus money is good money. And so is the hero parlay. I'm guessing that's what Matthew was asking about. I told these guys, I said, you need to go to my social media. I work really hard, but it's almost kickoff. I'm feeling generous today. Do you want to give out your hero parlay, or at least tell people where they can watch it?
Yeah, so I'm going to be posting that probably after this, probably in the next half hour or so. It's 3 plays. Now, listen, I know a lot of people get crazy here. They think, they want to put like a bunch of units on this, and this is the reason I call it a hero parlay, is because we're going to be heroes if we hit this parlay. It's not an easy thing to hit. It's plays that either I've kind of edged out that I'm not looking to bet straight, or maybe some of them that I are. Sometimes I'm mixing it together, but that's where you're going to find it at my Twitter, at Kyle Anthony UFC. You can check it out in about a half hour.
All right. It's not out yet. Everybody's got to wait. Sorry, Matthew. I was trying to get you some good insight.
Check it out. Check it out.
Can you give me one of the legs? How about give me the longest leg? Give me something exciting here, Kyle, that is if this is.
Well, I would say probably the one that I could say that it's the main event. I could say that it's going to be my actual top one there. It's going to be Charles Oliveira. I do like him there. I think this is a great spot for him. It's a 2-week notice for Gamrot, coming in on short notice in Brazil to a 5-rounder. I like Charles, so that's going to be one leg of the hero parlay.
Oh, I love that. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch that fight here in just a little bit. Kyle, let everybody know what else you've got going on over at WagerTalk.com before we get out of here, because kickoff is in 12 minutes.
It's all right. So I have 5 plays up right now. I have a 4% money line play, have hit over the last 2 years, 72% on those 4% plays. And I've got some plus money in there. We've got some great spots. We're going to cash again, 13 units over the last 2 events. We're going to make it like 20 over the next 3.
Don't mind me, guys. I'm just betting in the background. I'm just changing some of my splash.
Listen, it's good. It's good. You got to fire. This is the time.
Listen, we got stuff going on. This is what last call is. It is last call. We got to get those bets in. We got to get ready for UFC. Let's have an awesome Saturday. Make sure you guys are giving Kyle a follow at Kyle Anthony UFC. Though that hero parlay will be up on his Twitter here in a little bit. I'll be sure to retweet it for you guys as well. Thank you, Kyle. And we'll see you next Saturday. Going to keep the UFC rolling here. It seems like you guys are really enjoying it. Almost 4,400 of you guys watching live right now. Make sure you guys come back tomorrow, same time, same place. Ariel Epstein is going to be hosting. We got John Murray for a look behind the counter at the Westgate Superbook. We got VR. And I got to figure out who else is going to be on the show. Oh, I got it already. I looked at the schedule. Jesse Shule is going to be talking from all NFL things from WagerTalk.com. So star-studded lineup, and then right after we got the steam room. Then after that, we got End Zone Live with the Prez. Good thing I got those Vivas on Ice from Ralph. We'll see you guys next Saturday right here on Wager Talk Last Call. Have a good one.